And it will really hurt if that does come back and he's not my child today. It will really hurt. And I love my wife and I want us to be together forever, but I can't get past this if he's not my child today.
You don't want this to be his baby, and you're telling us that this is a possibility. What female puts a possible father on the last name on a baby? That wouldn't be me.
He's not her father, Your Honor. Color don't mean nothing. Because he light-skinned and she light-skinned, the other guy is dark-skinned, I'm dark-skinned. That don't prove that he's her father. It sure doesn't. I know who's her father.
Mr. Wheat was definitely an emotional man. He was in court to express his sadness and how he felt he had been robbed of being a father to a child he claimed was his. He wanted nothing more than to make up for lost time with his daughter. But Ms. Grider, the child's mother, claimed she had her facts right.
Mr. Wheat, you filed your case because you claim you've been robbed as a father. You are desperate to prove to the defendant that you fathered her 19-year-old daughter, Sierra Sloan, and once you do, you want to make up for lost time. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The first statement that dropped from his mouth was that he believed he was the father. He wanted to reunite her with her other siblings and couldn't wait for her to call him daddy. He claimed anytime he thought about the time he wasn't present in her life, it broke his heart.
I believe she is mine, so I want her to make up for all the lost time so she can meet her sisters.
And so what does it feel like knowing that you may have missed 19 years of your daughter's life?
It's hurtful, very hurtful.
Do you think about all of the times of her life you've missed, the important moments?
Yes.
As much as she wanted Mr. Wheat to be her daughter's father, she just couldn't lie about her facts, and she knew he wasn't the father. She claimed that back when she was 19 years old, she was around so many men and did so many stupid things.
Because I was 19, I was young, dumb, and full of eggs, and I was doing me.
Young, dumb, and full of eggs and doing me. I don't think I've ever heard it explained like that. Okay.
Now, when Ms. Grider found out she was pregnant, Mr. Wheat never got to know about the news. In fact, the news came to him as a surprise. After having a one-night stand with Ms. Grider, someone walked up to him months later and asked him if he was excited to be a father.
Kinda had a one-night stand, and I don't know how many more months later, I found out she was pregnant. Her friend of hers come up to me and says, "How does it feel that you're about to be a dad?"
Really? And so did you confront Ms. Grider?
Yes. Well, didn't confront her, we talked about it. She goes, "Yes, there is a possibility that you are her father."
At the time when Ms. Grider's daughter was conceived, she was intimate with 4 different men. I mean, we need all the juice from her story, right? She began to go into detail about how she ended up sleeping with 4 different men, and trust me, it was crazy.
One of them was my boyfriend. He was living with me at the time, and he went away. And then Mac had moved in with me. I met him through a mutual friend of all of ours, and yes, we were sleeping together. And then I went out to Texas Nightlife and saw David and had a one-night stand with him at that time.
Ms. Grider eventually got pregnant, and she did something really interesting. She told the 4 different men she was sleeping with that she was pregnant, and that there was a chance that 1 out of the 4 of them could be the potential father to her baby.
I confronted Mac and David and told all of them, all
So
4 of them.
You
really.
told them all?
Yes.
Listen, I'm pregnant and
You could possibly be the father. Yes, I told all 4 of them.
All right, so in the beginning, you did tell Mr. Wheat you could be my daughter's biological father, my child's biological father.
Things start to get a little tricky in the courtroom. Ms. Grider finally gives birth to her baby, and she's asked who was with her through the process. Guess what? It wasn't Mr. Wheat. It happened that one of the men she was intimate with was present throughout the childbirth process, and he also believes he is the father of the baby.
Who was with you when she was born?
Mac Grider.
Ah, now I get it. So the man you were with went through the process with you.
Yes, Your Honor.
So Mr. Wheat, it kind of left you as odd man out because she was with this guy. You were just the one-night stand, and even though you knew you were a possibility, you didn't feel like you really had any standing.
Yes, Your Honor.
Guess who was around in the courtroom? Mr. Grider, the other man, who also believes he is a potential father to Ms. Grider's child. And that wasn't the only mind-blowing thing. Ms. Grider and Mr. Grider were actually married at one point in time.
What was your relationship with the defendant?
She is my ex-wife.
She's your ex-wife. All right. So do you think you are Sierra's, Miss Sloan's biological father?
There is a possibility. Me and Charlene were sleeping together and staying in the same house, and we used to having sex more than the other guy.
The daughter in question was devastated by the entire situation. I mean, who wouldn't be? She had 2 different men in the courtroom fighting for the position of being her father, and to make things worse, her mother wasn't even sure which of the men was her actual dad.
Upset that I Never knew who my real dad was.
And when you say you never knew,
Never.
you were always told that it was uncertain?
I've had a father figure throughout the years, and he's watched me grow up and never really knew who my dad was.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's time we brought the cartoons down on this story of deception and uncertainty, wouldn't you say? It was time to find out the truth and know if the craziness was all worth it. The moment of truth is here, people. Brace yourselves for the result.
Mr. Grider, you are not the father. I'm very sorry, Mr. Grider.
I still love her no matter what.
Mr. Wheat, you are not the father. I'm very sorry, Sierra.
Mr. Williams claimed that from the moment he saw Ms. Mayberry, he automatically believed she was his daughter, even though the defendant was claiming he wasn't the father of her child. He hoped the DNA results would prove her wrong. Ms. Wynn, the defendant, claimed she never gave Mr. Williams a reason to believe or think he could be her daughter's father.
Mr. Williams, from the moment you saw Quenisha Mayberry, you believe that she is your biological daughter, even though the defendant claimed you are not. You hope today's results prove what you have known for 35 years. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, it was storytelling time, and Mr. Williams was asked to explain how he felt when he found out Miss Cree. Williams was his daughter. He claimed everything just made sense after he met her. She looked just like him. Her color tone matched his, and for him, that was enough proof.
It was the first time I saw her. You know, she looked like me, fair skin, and I just knew she was my daughter.
And when was this, sir?
When she, about a week after she was born.
Oh, right after she was born?
Yes.
You looked at her and you said, this is my daughter?
Yep.
Because you felt like she looked like you?
Well, she's fair skinned. I was fair skinned. Her mom is dark, and the other guy, he's darker.
One thing was certain, though. Ms. Wynn wasn't bothered by any of Mr. Williams' feelings. She stood her ground and was insistent that she was very certain he wasn't her biological father. Which then begs the question, how did the mix-up happen? Why do they both feel differently?
He's not her father, Your Honor. Color don't mean nothing. You know, because he light-skinned and she light-skinned, the other guy is dark-skinned, I'm dark-skinned. That don't prove that he's her father.
It sure does.
I know who's her father.
Well, it's
and
different
it's not,
when you got...
It's not Stanley.
Well,
Your
he
Honor.
seems pretty certain that it is, and I would like to hear his testimony. I want to start with the nature of your relationship.
Everyone needed to understand what kind of relationship they had to begin with. Mr. Williams claimed that after trying so hard to get his attention, he and Ms. Wynn finally got into a sexual relationship. He admitted it wasn't a romantic one, though, but they definitely slept together a couple of times.
They just walk in front of the door to get my attention. And so, you know, we end up, you know, we did mess around, but it was never a relationship.
So how long did this sexual relationship last?
I don't remember, like 4 or 5 months, something like that.
All right. So, Ms. Wynn, how do you remember your relationship with Mr. Williams? Can you take me back?
I don't remember.
After Mr. Williams gave a vivid account of how and when they had their sexual encounters, Ms. Wynn went on to shock the entire courtroom. She claimed she couldn't remember ever sleeping with me. Williams, she claimed there was no memory of something like that ever happening in her entire life.
I'm trying to get to, do you remember him asking you on a date or meeting up with him later?
Your Honor, I don't remember none of it. And if Stanley knew he was to feel that he was a father, he could have been did this test. He used to come get her, take over his house. He could have did it then.
Well, if you
You
didn't
want to
think
wait 35 years to do this now?
If you didn't think I was, why would you let me take your baby?
I didn't have a problem.
Ms. Vinn's story just wasn't making any sense. She kept denying that she ever slept with Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams then went on to drop a revelation, where he claimed he would always go to pick up Ms. Mayberry from her mother's house, and when Mr. Williams showed his mother the child, she told him Ms. Mayberry looked just like him.
And no pictures with her being a newborn.
Not with newborns, but I used to go get her all the time. It was once I came and got her for like my nieces and nephews' birthday parties. I used to go get her so she can come and play with the other kids. And I would keep her the duration of the party.
How long did that last? How often was that?
Well, it wasn't often because I lost contact with them for a long time.
Ms. Mayberry claimed she knew another man to be her father because her mother told him that was her father and he was the one who signed the birth certificate. But deep down in her heart, she felt he wasn't her father because they didn't bond and connect on so many levels, and she met him just twice.
The man that signed my birth certificate, like, I met him like twice. I don't feel like we have a connection. I definitely don't look like him. I really don't feel like that's my father.
Oh, you had no connection with him?
Nope.
And you've only seen him like 2 times?
And that was when I was like 18, so.
Yeah, I've been mom and dad to her, and I'm still mom and dad.
Anytime people around asked Mr. Williams if Ms. Mayberry was his daughter, he never denied her. He would always tell them she was his daughter, but he remembered a situation where another man claimed to be her father as well.
Yeah, that's how I addressed her. When anybody asked me about her, I'll say this is my daughter.
Was anybody else saying this is my daughter?
It was one situation where I went over to her house, and her and the guy, who's supposed to be her dad, was sitting on the porch. And I walked past him, and I went in the house.
It's been a bumpy and funny ride with Mr. Williams and Ms. Wynn. We need to find out the truth, don't we? All eyes are on the judge as she unleashes the truth.
Mr. Williams, you are not the father. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry I could not give you the closure you needed. Ms. Wynn, can you remember, identify, think about any other person you may have been dating at that time?
Let's just say, as far as this case was concerned, there was trouble in their little paradise. Mrs. Cohen was present in court to prove to her husband that he is the father of her 1-year-old son. If it happened that Mr. Cohen wasn't the father of the child, she was definitely going to kiss her marriage goodbye.
Mrs. Cohen, you have opened your case to prove to your husband that he is the father of your 1-year-old son, Kyrie. You say your marriage is on the verge of divorce because Mr. Cohen chooses to deny your young son. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Cohen wanted nothing more than for the results to show that her husband was the father of her child. She told the courtroom that Mr. Cohen was already on full throttle toward getting a divorce, and she was trying to save her marriage. She even claimed they've been high school sweethearts for as long as she can remember.
Right now, I'm trying to save my marriage because we are on the verge of divorce. I want to prove to him that he is the father of our 1-year-old son. He's my high school sweetheart. We met in the 10th grade. We started dating. We've been together for 7 years, married for 3, and I just really want to prove to him and his family members that he is the father of our 1-year-old son.
Mr. Cohen, on his end, could not hide the fact that he was also very hurt by the situation. He couldn't believe that he was the one standing in paternity court, trying to determine if he was the real father of his child. I mean, if I were in his shoes, I would probably feel the same way.
I'm just really hurt right now that we had to come this far to get these answers. And I have had lots of doubt about Kyrie, and it will really hurt if that does come back and he's not my child today. It really hurt. And I love my wife, and I want us to be together forever, but I can't get past this.
After both of them had expressed to the court how the whole situation made them feel sad, it was time to get down to the real business. The judge asked Mr. Cohen how he found out his wife cheated on him, and he blew the minds of everyone in the courtroom.
Me and Jasmine, we broke up. We said we was gonna be done with each other for good. We were still living under the same roof in the same house. Going into May, we began to have sex again, all that good stuff. I went through Jasmine's phone one day after we got back together, and her phone was locked. She had a passcode on it.
Let's just say he didn't really trust his wife as much as you would expect him to. He claimed that while she was sleeping like a baby during one of those cozy nights, he unlocked her phone and found a secret that shattered his heart.
I was about to lock the phone. Right when I was about to lock the phone, I opened up the notes in her phone, and I seen my name at the top. I was like, let me click on this note. Why is my name there? I clicked on the note, and there was 2 other names under my name. I instantly realized that was the people Jasmine had been intimate with, because my name was first, which I took Jasmine's virginity.
The story he was telling the judge got even crazier. After playing Inspector Gadgets, he found the man Mrs. Cohen had slept with. Being that his mind wasn't settled, he texted the guy and told him he was about to have a baby. The guy replied and said he slept with his wife only once, and there was no way he could be a father.
I went in his DMs.
How do you know it was the guy?
I went into his DMs, and I was like, you're having a baby, sir. And he replied back to me, acting like he knew exactly who I was. He was like, no, I only slept with her one time, and that's not my child. She told me nothing about her being pregnant or anything, and then he blocked me, so there was no father.
To be fair, I was already pregnant when I slept with him.
Well, the judge had to face Mrs. Cohen and hear her side of the story because her husband had uncovered a lot. Apparently, she didn't deny it, though. She said she met the guy at community service, and that's when one thing led to the next, and they had a sexual experience.
We were on a break. He went to go stay with one of his family members, and I had to do community service, and I met him at community service. And he was just telling me that I'm beautiful and all this other stuff.
That right there, I don't know. Was he doing that voluntarily? Or was he ordered to community service? There's a difference.
He was ordered, but
Mrs. Cohen wasn't denying the fact that what she did was horrible, but she blamed her husband for it. She claimed her husband made her feel so low by choosing to sleep with other women outside of their relationship, and all she did was have her revenge.
Oh, to be fair, I was getting him back. That's all that was. He was cheating, and my husband has made me feel so low. Like, he's chosen females over me plenty of times. So it was my time to get back at him, so I was just doing what I wanted to do.
Was the sex unprotected?
With who?
With the community service guy.
Yes.
After going back and forth with the cheating story, Mr. Cohen finally admitted why he had doubts that the baby wasn't his. He claimed to have a disease that made him incapable of fathering a child, which his wife was quite aware of.
I have type 2 diabetes, and I didn't have no insurance at the time, so it was uncontrolled, meaning my sugars were always high. So every time I would ejaculate, my semen would become weird, and it can't travel right.
So how I get pregnant, Quarry?
Well, I was about to say, you all do have another child together, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
The suspense is finally over, and the hassle of who the dad of their child is about to be revealed. It's been a bumpy and funny ride with Mr. Cohen and his wife. All eyes are on the judge as she unleashes the truth.
Mr. Cohen, you are the father.
Oh my God, I'm so happy. Everybody can follow me. Be quiet.
You can stand with your wife, you can stand with your husband. I'll tell you, I mean, some of the best life lessons come from the hugest mistakes.
Ms. Ramirez dragged her ex-boyfriend to court to prove to him that he was the father of her baby. She claimed she was tired of him always denying that he wasn't the father, and all she wanted him to do was step up. Mr. Jordan claimed he was nowhere around Ms. Ramirez during her window of conception, so he can't be the father.
Ms. Ramirez, you have dragged your ex-boyfriend to court because you are tired of him denying your 4-month-old daughter, Mila, and you're hoping today's results will make him finally step up. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Ramirez wasted no time in talking about how he hasn't been there for her child. She claims she has been the one single-handedly taking care of both her kids, and she doesn't understand why Mr. Jordan doesn't want to help out.
He's never provided diapers, wipes, formula, nothing. I take care of not only her, but my other 2 children as well, by myself. No help, and there hasn't been help for at least over 2 years now.
Are you avoiding responsibility, Mr. Jordan?
No, Your Honor. Well, Mr. Jordan also had some truth bombs to reveal to the court. He claimed their relationship had been over for quite some time, and the only reason he kept in touch with her was because they had other kids together.
Well, the relationship was non-existent. I had moved on. So there was no, we kept in touch every now and then because I have 2 kids with her, and I just called for the kids. But besides that, I had moved on, and there's not much to it besides that.
So you were already living in another state and had moved on?
Yep.
Which is why you say you are not Mila's biological father.
Correct.
Mr. Jordan wasn't the only one who had things to reveal to the courtroom. Ms. Ramirez claimed that on some occasions when Mr. Jordan came over to visit his other kids, they would usually have unprotected sex, and she told him she wanted another baby with him.
And I had told him that I wanted another child with him, and he's even said that, if a woman says that, if they want another child or a child with him, that he feels the need that he has to.
What?
That's not true, bro.
Yes, he has.
Don't pay attention to that. But Your Honor, I just want to say also, when I broke up with her, I had found sex messages with other dudes. That was when I decided to...
It was now a battle of who had the best proof to show the judge. Ms. Ramirez showed the courtroom a calendar of the period she conceived her baby, and it placed Mr. Jordan as the man she was sleeping with. Mr. Jordan said that was not true. He submitted his own evidence, which stated that he wasn't even around the period she claimed she was intimate with him.
You say you got pregnant?
Yes.
Well, Mr. Jordan, if we count back, that looks like it adds up.
Nah, Your Honor, that's not, she's lying. Because I have proof right here that I was in Georgia. I got a pay stub. If I could submit this from...
Yes, I'd like to see that. Jerome, will you hand me that evidence, please?
Yeah.
So this is proof that...
I was working in Georgia.
You were working in Georgia.
Aside from submitting his evidence in the courtroom, he brought a witness who was going to prove he wasn't the father of her child. Trust me, Mr. Jordan came very prepared for anything that was going to happen in the courtroom. The witness happened to be Mr. Jordan's babysitter, who is also pregnant with him.
First and foremost, of course, and ended up being his babysitter for his 2nd child that he has, Adrian, for a few months, actually, while he was in Georgia.
But now you're dating him and actually having his other baby, right?
So, how do you know Mr. Jordan is not Mila's biological father?
Well, all hell broke loose after the babysitter, or should I say baby mama, walked into the courtroom. Apparently, Ms. Ramirez had been lying all this time. She didn't reveal to the court that she had been intimate with another man who wasn't Mr. Jordan.
You have not testified to that in this courtroom.
But I had said that I slept with him. He is another possibility, but it's like a 95 to 5% possibility.
What math are you doing in here?
Judge Lauren was getting tired of her lies, and trust me, if you were in the courtroom, I'm sure you would feel the exact same way. The other guy in the picture, who also happens to be a potential father, believes he is the father of her child.
He knows he's a possibility. That's what I've told him. He's only a possibility.
So, Ms. Ramirez, tell the truth, because do I even need to go to this envelope? I mean, you talking in circles so much, I'm getting dizzy. What is the truth?
The truth
This looks like a man holding his baby.
He's not the father. Like I said, he's just a possibility.
Well, there's only one way to end this plot twist and series of lies that Ms. Ramirez has been telling the courtroom. The results from the DNA test are in, and it's time to reveal the truth as to the question of who the real father is. I hope we're all ready, because here it comes.
Mr. Jordan, you are the father. I don't know the results, but I saw that one coming through like a Mack truck.
You're right, she was gonna be upset if she found out that she was yours.
This relationship is very messy. I think everybody has their little piece.